and I won't want to speak any further. I'm gonna let you take over now, because you know much more than I do.
Well, parts of it he donated. He donated the bulk of it to the Saddle Club.
To the Saddle Club.
He bought it from Ira Jones. Well, that property, Bo Englert sold it to Ira Jones in 1947, and in 1949, Ira sold it to Bert. And in 1951 or so, Bert gave it to the Saddle Club. Donated to the Saddle Club. And then the strip that is the frontage road, or right beside the highway, that he gave to the city. He made a park out of that, and he gave that portion to the city. And then on up, he owned the whole Colorado Midland Railway, or the Midland Terminal right away.
Yes.
He bought that up from this side of Paradise up to Brazen Head. And he gave parts of it away and over the years, and that's how that little piece got given to the city for the park.
And that little piece starts from, which I didn't know until our conversation, it starts from where that lookout is, that kind of half round thing, whatever that is.
Whatever it is, yeah.
People
whatever
call
it
the
is.
stupid round thing.
Yeah.
It starts from there and literally goes down to Center Street, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So, just so people have an idea of the area we're talking about.
And that area that's got that round thing, that was a separate 2 acres that he bought later and merged it in with the Saddle Club's property.
So the reason, can you give us a little history about the baggage car?
Well, the baggage room,
yes,
was the Midland Terminals. And then after the depot burnt down, they used it for the actual depot for a short while. But then when the terminal went under in 1949, then when Bert bought that property, he acquired it was on the property, so the building belonged to him. And about that same time, the Home Demonstration Club ladies needed a clubhouse. So he donated that building to the Home Demonstration ladies. And for the huge sum of $90, it was the expense that was borne to move it from there to the park. And I forget what it was when the city of Woodland Park moved it from the park back down to there, but it was a few dollars more than 90. And so the ladies ended up letting the library use it when they opened a library here in Woodland. And then it was a library for quite a while. And then it was the clothes closet for quite a while. And then the city of Woodland Park moved it over there.
Does it have historical value? Like, is it history-wise?
It does.
Where does that building date?
I do not know. But I would guess like, I won't even guess.
It wouldn't be on a registry, will you?
No, it's not.
Are people able to go into it now, or is it locked up?
I believe you could ask Karen that, where it is.
Is the little baggage plane car building, is it accessible? Can people walk in there and look around, or is it locked?
It is currently locked. It is not open to the public. That is a project the Historic Preservation Committee has been wanting to work on and turn into a pocket museum. And I apologize if I'm duplicating information. The HBC got a grant a year and a half, 2 years ago, and got the asbestos remediated out of the building.
Oh.
So that was a huge step in the right direction towards potentially being able to get that set up as a pocket museum, where very, very slowly needing to write a grant application to the state to obtain funds to get the MEP drawings done that we need in order to take that structure the next step and get closer to doing a museum with the building.
Karen, just one more quick question. That little building is owned by UPass Historical Society, or is it owned by the city, or do you know who actually owns that structure?
I am not 100% sure who the true legal owner of the building is. I've been working under the assumption it belonged to the city of Woodland Park, but I've been wrong before.
I believe it is the city.
the mayor says she believes it's the city, so.
That's the impression I had also.
Is there, if I could,
Get closer to a mic, it's not gonna pick up. Thanks, thank you.
is it important that we try to keep that in that area, or is the city thinking we should move it, or what is, are there any thoughts on that building? The city would love to hear this discussion. Okay. I think I think that's where Tava comes in. I mean, do you have any ideas, Mark? I mean, I think it adds historical value, and I think I think it'd be great if we can leave it there and try to reinvent it into what you guys are doing. Is that something that Tava is open to?
Yes. You want me to just throw out some ideas?
Yes.
Okay. So it would be, our thoughts were, and I'm just tossing these out, by no means is this anything that we've even put on a drawing or even a concept plan. We're just thinking out loud that we remove the bathrooms. We have plans for, in a future phase, to have bathrooms down here. So the timing of that, I'm not quite sure, but let's remove these bathrooms. Let's make this all parking, keep the baggage car, the baggage building, do a large wayfinding map here that identifies you are here. This is a Centennial Trailhead. This is Memorial Park. This is the Dinosaur Resource, the high school, all that. A big wayfinding map, some kind of monument or recognition of Mr. Bergstrom. And maybe that's in the car, I don't know, but some kind of recognition about Bergstrom and this property and his legacy. And we tie all that in, but it becomes mostly parking. And here's what I want everybody to be thinking about in terms of this overall Woodland Station property. This is going to become a destination for a lot of people. And so we all should be preparing and thinking about a lot of people coming here, trying to explore, figure out where things are. So Woodland Park over the next few years is going to become more of a destination instead of a pass-through town, which is kind of what it is right now. So with that in mind, for the DDA, a big global view of the DDA boundary, what needs to go in there, what needs help. We're going to need a lot of parking. And I think David's got ideas about that, but you have to anticipate a lot of people coming here as a place to enjoy, especially during the summers. It's just going to get hotter down in the Front Range. So summers are going to be really busy, but we want to retain people to cause them to park somewhere, get out of their car and enjoy the town. So that would be our thoughts.
So,
sure. Just real quick. I don't need this, but listen,
that so people can hear.
Bergstrom Park is a public facility. The bathrooms, as a business owner, I gotta say, are critical. We don't have enough bathrooms here, and I'm not a bathroom provider for all the tourists that come through town. It is a nice lay-by spot. My concern is that we take this and turn it into an addition to Woodland Station property. There's a lot of people that thought Woodland Station should be more of a less of a what it is and more of a public use. So by taking away the bathrooms, taking away Bergstrom Park, I think it's going the wrong direction.
So that being said, do you have any, Chief, may I ask you, do you have any information on the bathrooms and what, can you give us any information on the bathrooms, please? And what it does as far as, I don't want to say, I have to be a little PC. It draws a crowd, I think, possibly that, I don't know, I'm gonna let you.
I think I can answer it succinctly. The police department would welcome the closure of the bathrooms.
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with tourist reasons. It just has to do with the element it attracts at the wrong time.
Correct. And that being said, I do believe, Mark, I do believe that the Tava group has agreed to have some public bathrooms, at least during business hours. Is that correct? Open to the public, right? So the bathrooms are not necessarily going away. They are moving, and there'll be new bathrooms. And so I think that's what they're looking at. Would that be something that would, and I will tell you that I know that our coffee shop is public bathrooms. I know they come in there quite a bit. And I'm sure that there's other buildings too. And so they're not just using those. And they are, I've been in them. I wouldn't let my kids in there by themselves. I mean, I would be walking them in. And you don't know, I'm just saying they're not the best. And I don't think they are what we would want tourists to see or people coming to visit. I'm not so sure those are the bathrooms that we'd want to present to them. Is that fair?
Well, there's an element, obviously, you can say that they attract.
I'm not saying it.
Something.
I'm not saying it.
I understand.
Yeah.
But at the same time.
Yes, Mark. Go ahead.
I just, we need bathrooms here. The cultural centers has bathroom, but cultural center cherry picks when they're going to be open. And so that takes away the facilities. And I don't have the setup. Bathrooms are important. You go to Estes Park, you have bathrooms throughout the downtown corridor that are well ID'd, and that's the way it should be in my estimation. Plus the fact that that is a public park. It's not part of Woodland Station, and it should be serving the public's interest.
And I do believe that that's just all part of the conversation. So I do hear what you're saying. Yeah. Mark?
I just was curious. So public bathrooms have got them at Centennial Trailhead, this rest stop, Memorial Park, Cultural Center.
Cultural Center. Is there any other public access bathrooms? 1, 2, 3. So there's 4 roughly. Okay. Okay. All right. Just curious. And just to Jerry's point, we're not trying to take over Bergstrom Park. We're not trying to make it be something it doesn't want to be. We're just throwing out our ideas about there's going to be a lot of people coming and where they're going to park and how they're going to find their way around. That's probably our concern.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'd just like to make one comment. Yeah, this is public property owned by the city. And I think what we're talking about is reimagining what it could be now in 2024, not Woodland Station plans for the last 23 years. And so one, it has one of the last remaining rest areas for the state. Well, that's for a reason, because of the problems those kind of properties have, which I think Chief Deisler just alluded to. I've been over there with piles of needles, alcohol bottles from certain elements. And so I think the opportunity here, yes, it is adjacent to Woodland Station. Yes, it sounds like Tava is willing to be part of the conversation in the big picture, but this is about public property that how do we, and maybe the DDA plays a role, how do we reimagine it for the highest and best use for the entire downtown business district, including your business, including the businesses across the street. And so whatever it becomes, it should make sure that it maximizes benefit to the city of Woodland Park. And in particular, in my opinion, the downtown business district, because due to the nature of its layout and where that curve is, it's pretty high profile. So turning that into a nice amenity, I think, is desirable.
That's it.
Do you have anything to add?
Just that I'm thrilled to hear that you would like to recognize Bergstrom over there. that park, he did a lot for the town and the community. And I hope we keep the continuity, the connection with our past as we go into the future and improve the town. But the reason I'm really excited to hear that a monument to him would be built is because my friend Eric Dixon, who was Teller County's only death in the Vietnam War, killed in action, used to have we built a memorial for him in Bergstrom Park. And it was, the city let it get in disrepair so bad that it was finally removed. And that's where the new bathrooms are now, or the bathrooms that are there now is the east end of those bathrooms used to be where the memorial for a Vietnam veteran that was killed in action used to be. So that has been forgotten about until they put the one over in Memorial Park. But to keep the memory of Bert alive and keep our connection with the past, I thank you for Taba and everyone for considering that.
Can I assume that everybody is on board with possibly keeping the baggage car as a piece of history on that site? Is that something that I think a lot of us would see? Arden, do you have any, I haven't heard from you. Do you have anything to say?
Yes. I guess as the primary instigator of this meeting, I should have a few comments. I would say for the first time ever, I'm going to agree with Jerry. This is a public park. I would not support making more parking on this. I do think the existing bathrooms are a blight and a problem. I could see getting rid of those. I don't see a problem with the baggage car staying there and maybe being used in a little bit more of a information, seasonal information center, etc. But what I envision here, this is an opportunity and time because of all this construction going on both sides of this, an opportunity to redo the whole thing into something that would be a really attractive public space. And I'm not enthused about the widening of the highway right there. So I don't know how far down the road we've gotten with CDOT on, I'll say, agreeing to this, but for 15, 20 years, I've heard this effort to make Woodland Park more pedestrian friendly, and widening the highway right there does not help that at all. So I think a little bit more discussion on are we saddled with that, so to speak. But as far as the rest of the park here, on the western edge, the park encroaches halfway into the street right away, which I would imagine the Pine Street right away will be used at some point in time, effectively chopping off half of the stupid round thing. So this is an opportunity, I think, to redo, just make it a really attractive. People drive by and like, oh, what, this is a really nice place sort of impression. Not, look at those bumps over there underneath that building by the bathrooms. So I think the timing is right, and I think the DDA has the ability to help with this. So maybe we ought to encourage people to maybe hand out some of these and let people look at them and draw on them, and maybe at the next meeting have some real suggestions.
I think people can take pictures of this too, though, on their phones. And Mark, if I may, where the bathrooms are, you're not proposing that would be parking spots, are you? Well, I don't see that in these drawings.
This is the existing.
This is the existing. So you do see this as being all parking spots?
I do. I don't know what else to do. I'm certainly open to.
I would think my thoughts, there's steps here coming down. Mm-hmm. Are these steps too coming? I mean, I would think to leave some green. Personally, I would think to leave a little bit, maybe so people can get out and sit here and enjoy this. Maybe, I don't know, that's just my idea. I didn't see this as all parking. I'm not opposed to it, but I hear some resistance, and I think I understand that using all this up it would kind of say that, yeah, Talbot did take, I'm just saying, from their perspective, I hear what they're saying.
Sure.
So I'd like to be open to the idea. Kelly, do you have something to add?
I just wanted to know is that necessary? Is it a required space that we need to put parking in to meet some kind of need or necessity? Okay, because that's a place to start. If it's not required or necessary, it's not going to solve. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Would you like? Go ahead, Kelly. Thank you.
For those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Cindy Keating. I'm the Parks and Recreation Director. So I wanted to let you know that I did invite our park board to come to this meeting today. They were not able to make it, but I would like to suggest that maybe they get to see this. I share my plans or the plans that I've heard today with them. And I could come back. I don't think we have a meeting again until September, but I could come back in September with their suggestions, or I could invite you to their meeting, which is the second Wednesday of each month at 5:30. But I would like them to be able to have a chance to look at this and give you some feedback as well, if that would be okay.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
John.
Yes, sir.
David, do you want to address the comments about CDOT?
Yeah.
We're far down the road on that.
Yeah, I would say we're pretty far down the road as far as CDOT requiring that right turn lane into the property. As far as this phase of the Tava House development. But, you know, the other aspect of this park is there's flexibility. There's ability to add green space, reconfigure the parking so that maybe you have some green space fronting 24 that may make more sense, and just utilize that space. The restroom is an awfully large structure for what it offers. When Cindy and I moved the baggage building, when we did Memorial Park, I mean, that building's in pretty rough shape. I don't know that you're going to lift it up again successfully. I think we left the foundation in Memorial Park when we did it and had to build a new foundation when we moved it. But I think there's a space with a lot of flexibility that should be utilized to create that pedestrian space, access, corridors, parking, whatever you need. But re-envisioning probably makes sense instead of working with kind of the leftovers of the past.
So, Cindy, where those bathrooms are, we've got plumbing, we've got water. Is there any idea about some kind of feature, water feature there? Talk about that.
We currently don't have any ideas or plans for this park. I know that in the past there has been discussions about a spray park or a water feature of some sort, since there is water there.
I hadn't even thought of that. No. Have you thought about that, Aaron? I see you.
We think about all kinds of things.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose.
In the master plan for the development of Memorial, or the redevelopment of Memorial Park, included a splash pad that came off of the pond into like the northwest corner. I'm not sure if we'll see that happening, especially if we got something downtown. This community certainly, I don't think would need 2 splash pads and a pool.
Does anybody else have anything to say? Anybody else? Steve first. Go ahead, Steve.
In regard to moving the baggage house, I just want to bring up real quick, if anyone ever wanted to get that recognized as a state or historic landmark, if you move it, it would no longer be qualified for recognition on the National Register or the State Register. So if it's you could make the case right now that it's in its original position, because it's within yards of its original position right now. And in closing, I'd like to mention that Bert Bergstrom was a charter member of the very first Chamber of Commerce here, and he was pro-growth. That's all I got to say.
I kind of always envisioned that car staying right, or that baggage house staying right where it is. And I just checked with David Maharis, and he said it could stay there and possibly be worked into the whole plan right there where it is. I don't see any need to move that unless the city wanted to move it someplace. I would just think it, and I'm just throwing it out there, I'm certainly not in charge. These are just ideas. I can see that staying there and being worked into it. And I see it as a little green area with maybe some picnic tables or something like that where people could get out of their cars and sit. It'd be a great welcoming spot to just park and get out and just, like he said, if you had some signage in there that led people to the businesses around, I think that's a wonderful idea. And then it gives them a place where the kids can get out, stretch their legs, and kind of just sit and then look around, right? You can look from there and see everything. I just think it's a great idea, but obviously I'm not the last one. Jerry?
It's not a big deal, but it is a public park. So I think public might chime in, you know, maybe we should reach out to the public, let's get some ideas. How much everybody look forward to that, but I think it's an important part that we all have a vested interest in how it's laid out. I think we should put it in the public's, give them a voice.
And this meeting was posted and open to the public, and we are open to the public's input for sure. And I like your idea as well. I think she will bring a lot to the table. And then I think the more that you get involved, I think the more citizens will realize that we are going to do some changes here. We are open to some changes here. I can say that it is going to change. Where it's going, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of people involved. Yes, ma'am.
I would just like to add to what Jerry said. As far as public comment, I think that's a great idea, but it's always nice to have something for them to look at and to comment on. So giving them a blank sheet of paper, I don't know that that's going to be beneficial to everyone right now, but if we can come up with draft and people can look at and comment on and give their feedback on that, I think that would be most beneficial.
Do you have anything to add, Aaron? Please.
Yeah, we'll just say, I think that we should get a smaller group together with our communications coordinator, and we should put together a plan to engage the public. Okay, that would be my next steps here. And I agree with Cindy 100%. We need something to show them before we just put it out there.
Yeah.
So it sounds like the next step is somebody come up with a concept, and I'm fine with drafting it if I can get some ideas and concepts to put together based off of this. I think, you know, really quickly, my suggestions would be removal of the restroom and then kind of pull this existing parking lot south so you can end up with more green space along the frontage. We've got 25 feet roughly here of green space, but maybe split that green space between the parking if we're looking for a complete redesign, but that gives you more green frontage on Highway 24. And then just some sort of integration. I mean, I like park, picnic table, that kind of concept in that area.
Please. Will you introduce yourself, please?
Steve Smith, I'm council member here.
Yes, sir.
And for the question that I've been thinking is how noticeable, because I've lived here 32 years and I've never even knew about the 4 public accessible bathrooms. Okay. How noticeable is the change of the restroom or the bathrooms there going to be wherever they're going to go next? Okay. Because like I said, I've been here 32 years and never knew there was any public access bathrooms. Now, if you're going to have a picnic area and such like that, again, how noticeable is it going to be to the community and to the tourists? Hey, you've got to go, 100 yards, if you need to use the bathroom. That's my thought, and, want to put it out there, in regards to, taking away the bathroom from there, if that makes sense.
I'm not fully understanding. So you're saying the park wouldn't help either. You're saying having picnic tables. So what would you do? What would be your suggestion to make it noticeable? Because I would think as soon as people pulled in, they would see that.
Well, they see the bathrooms right there.
No, not the bathrooms. The bathroom, I think the bathrooms are gonna go bye-bye. I
Right,
mean, that would be my, if I had to say, I'd say that's where we're leaning.
but how noticeable will it be saying, hey, you know, bathrooms are, you know, public bathrooms are, you know, way over there. You see what I'm saying? Okay, if you take away the public bathroom right there, okay, where is it gonna, the new public bathroom gonna be?
That I don't know, Mark. I don't know.
Okay, and that's something that needs to be highly, you know, visible and noticeable to people. Okay,
So how visible are the bathrooms at Memorial Park from 24? How many people know that those are there?
well, everybody in the county knows.
Everybody in the county, but not people driving by. And you're
Right.
specifically talking about people driving by, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Or even, you know, coming in, parking there to go to the downtown businesses.
Mark?
That's to your point, I did. That's why a really big map is like 4 here, then a 5. There's one by smart. Where I go for coffee, you can find that. What else? So this spot right here is gonna have a lot of action. And that's what we put here, the full bathrooms. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. I just want to make sure because there's been times where, you know, we've walked down, you know, down the, you know, center of town there, do the businesses and such. And it's like, oh crap, you know, I gotta go. Where do I go? And, you know, a lot of the businesses don't have public access to bathrooms.
But you can always be a customer.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. But, you know, if they can just keep on going. Yeah, Mark.
Just to Aaron, is there some kind of plan right now? Restaurants?
There's not at this moment. Okay. Other than the Meadowood study that we just had done. Has plans for more bathrooms. Okay.
But you want to keep people in the middle of town, keep on going, okay, pit stop, okay, let's keep going. You know, the convenience is, you know, what I'm looking at and the notability of where things are. Yeah.
Anybody else have any thoughts? That's what this is. It's just a thinking, getting some ideas and some thoughts. Kelly, do you have anything?
Well, I just share that. Thank you. I would just share that as long as I've been here, those bathrooms have been vandalized, if not daily, every other day. And it has been a nightmare for our crews in trying to keep those usable for the public, be it locals or be it tourists coming through. They are a constant battle, and now it's not just vandalism, it's folks that, what's the word they're using now for homeless? I forget, maybe, but there's a lot of problems, and I know Chief is speaking to that, of folks parking there and claiming them as their home. So it's just plagued with problems and abuse. So they really aren't attractive to the public and for the use that folks are concerned about. So I think better locations and understanding that daytime is they would have to be, almost have to be locked overnight, or wherever they are, they're going to experience those same things. So that's just a little history that they have always, right, Cindy? Always been an issue with abuse. So anyway, I just thought I'd share some hysterical information.
Hysterical?
Thanks. So one other thing I just wanted to bring up for consideration as you look at the reimagining here is this portion right here of the large sidewalk is going to be removed by the Tava project for the Bergstrom alley addition. And so when we're looking at redesign of the park, I think holistically, we need to think about how an 8-foot wide trail or a 10-foot wide bike trail makes the connection all the way through Centennial. Grade wise, this is the logical point around this side to get the bike trail up along this point of the Tava circle down to connect to the 8-foot wide section here. But just as you're reimagining and looking through that, I think a bikeable path through that entire park and the connections down through the Tava development and down towards Fountain Creek where we have the connections there are something to take into consideration.
That's pedestrian traffic, right? Not just bikes.
Correct. Yeah. So it'd probably be, if we really want to look at it holistically, it'd probably be close to a 10 to a 12-foot trail to get bikes and pedestrians around.
The views there are one of unobstructed bike streets.
Well, and it serves the community well because you can bike your family in the trailer to go, hang out in downtown, get ice cream, whatever you want to do there. That exactly. Yeah, so just as you're thinking about that and we're doing reimagining and redesign, just looking at how that might integrate with the park and the connection piece.
Thank you. Do you have anything, young man? No? Okay. Do you have anything to add? You do? Okay. You introduce yourself, please.
I'm Linda Allred. I'm an architect and I'm a member of the Historical Preservation Committee. And I'm also a mother. And when you have picnic tables, you must have bathrooms. So keep the bathrooms close. I like your idea of it being park and focal for the city and all of its members. I oppose it being a parking lot. I don't think you want to drive through Woodland Park and in this beautiful spot that you're just talking about, see a parking lot. I think people come to communities like this to experience the history of the community, and you want nice things on both sides of the road. And they also expect to park more remotely to get to those things. So I don't think a parking lot should be right in the center of town. And let's see. And I also wonder why the state of Colorado has such problems with parking, with bathrooms. Traveling across the country, there's all kinds of states that really seem to get bathrooms, public bathrooms. So I think it's a problem that needs to be solved and not just eliminated.
I'm actually, this is George Jones, council member. I'm actually really curious about Ira Jones. But
he was a pharmacist.
Fair enough. Yeah. I think I love what everybody's saying. I do appreciate that there is a lot of public comment coming in, and I really like that Cindy and Parks and Rec are gonna get involved in this. That's all.
Again, this is just the first and kind of talk about this. I think we obviously will be having another meeting. I don't know when we should have another meeting. I think we would see what you would bring to the table and then maybe have a meeting after that. Would that be fair to say? And I appreciate everybody's input. If nobody else has anything else to say, can we get one more thing?
For Bergstrom, you talk about what he's given to the guy. This property we're standing on right now was donated by Bergstrom.
No, I think it's really important that we keep the Bergstrom Park name, and I think to have something saying who he was and how important he was to the community is very important. I really like that idea for sure. Yeah, and then Mark, I'm wondering, can we get more? I don't know that they have to be this big because I know the expense. But can we get some more copies of these? And then I don't know if.
So David said that I could take one of these and put that in PDF, and then I'll share that with the park board.
Okay. Does anybody, would we need any reason to have any more? Would other people like to put some crayons or some pens on them and look at these, or should we just leave that just to you guys? No hands up. Arden, no more to say? Save it for another meeting?
Just to the subject of bathrooms, I traveled around a lot with my kids all over. I can tell you where they're at in Flagstaff and Durango. And as far as that goes, we're already doing a good job of that here. To go a block to Memorial Park, it's not, you know, it's close, but the highway is such a barrier. So at some point we'll need some on that side of the highway. But I think we already do a fairly good job of, we've got a lot of public bathrooms available. And then, well, I have some other thoughts on the parking. I'll just try to put that on paper with David and we can visit that next time. Okay.
So I wanted to try to keep this at an hour, and it looks like we're making that. Did you have something to add, Al?
Yeah, I was kind of curious. How important really is that to have a circle? If that wasn't there, would that change the layout of this whole thing?
I don't know. I've been here since 2017 and I've seen 3 people there, but I'm not here all the time. I have seen people there looking out, and I will tell you, looking at a business that's right across from that, it's got a great view, like really nice view. But it's not very functional and nobody seems to be using it. So, yeah.
It's supposed to be an amphitheater. It's a very tough place to have an amphitheater downtown with the traffic.
Correct.
But could it be repurposed? Possibly. I don't know what that looks like, but possibly.
Certainly is the right shape for splash pad. Probably not the best location.
Probably, yeah, I wouldn't want my little kids right there running out on Highway 24. Would not be, probably wouldn't be very good. I couldn't even see how you get it insured in that kind of location.
The other thing that I was kind of wondering about too, it seems like, you know, space is important. We don't have enough square footage there to do a lot of the stuff. There's a lot that goes immediately to the east of South Center Street. There used to be the old propane store and also known as Luscious. Is there, can that fit into something that would be purposeful for us here if that was no longer a building?
There's no building on it now, is there?
Yeah, Luscious.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
that one, Rhapsodies.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. It's a pretty expensive, according to them, it's a pretty expensive piece of property, which is why it's still sitting vacant.
And it probably will for a while.
Yeah. No, I did wonder that too. It's landlocked. It's just kind of sitting in, it's just a weird little spot.
Yes. But I didn't know if it could be reconfigured into something additional there to give us more space for this particular project.
It's got a roof already.
Yeah.
I want to mention, if you bring that building up, just it's a pretty unassuming building, but that building was designed by a world famous architect who built that there, and he's got several buildings that he built similar to that are on the National Historic Register. So I just wanted to say, and I'm not saying you should do or not do with that building. It's kind of a, anyways, but yeah, that building is really historical. The architect was an amazing architect. And again, even as close as Colorado Springs, he's got 3 of his buildings he designed down there that are on the National Historic Register. So when you look at that little, again, I'll say the word unassuming building, it's really got some history to it. Thank you.
I'm gonna not say anything. I have to stare at it all the time, and I don't see it as being very attractive. That's all I'm going to say.
I'm not saying anything good or bad.
Does anybody else have anything to add? I will say I'm very glad that everybody showed up. I didn't know that we'd have anybody show up or would even care. So thank you very much for caring. And this is just the first meeting. I just happen to be the one that is leading the meeting, but I'm certainly not in charge of anything, and it's ours. It's ours. It's Woodland Parks, and so we want to do the best that we can for Woodland Park and the community that comes in. And like Mr. Weaver said, the Tava is going to draw a lot of people that don't normally come up here, and we want it to be friendly, and we want it to be opening and inviting. And when they get out, we want it to be like, this is nice. Like we can get out of the car, we can stretch our legs, we can do some walking. I really like the idea of the bike trail. I hadn't even thought about that. I mean, I think that's a great idea, especially for that side of the highway. I know that we have more bikeability on the other side of the highway, but I think that's really nice. That's a great added touch. So I like hearing that. And CDOT is forcing this turn lane. It's not an option. In order to get Tava in there, that turn lane is part of the project. Without it, Tava doesn't exist. So we don't have any choice with that. So now we have to reinvent, partly because of that is why we're even looking at this. So know that that's not an option. That has to stay. That has to be put in. And I don't think Tava really wanted to put it in because I know it's expensive. It's not cheap. And I don't think that it draws more traffic. Somebody said, well, more concrete, more traffic. I don't think that it draws more traffic. I think what it does is it alleviates a little bit of congestion, obviously, for people that are turning off, so that everybody doesn't have to slow down. There will be some slowdown there from the people taking a right, but it's going to be alleviated some by having that long turn lane. So it's a necessary evil, if I could say that. It just has to happen.
Ben, would you agree that it doesn't matter what goes in there, it's going to cause that change to the highway? Yes. More than likely.
Yes, where we're at, my understanding for the TIS, the traffic impact study, is that is so close to needing that trigger that no matter what would go in there, it would trigger the turn lane and deceleration lane in there, as well as the westbound deceleration lane in there. And just one other point too to talk about from the operational perspective is successful businesses have successful access. And every training I've been to, every place that I've been, every business that I frequent, if you can get in and out easily and it's safe and maneuverable to get down there. And I think that's really CDOT's perspective in that is I know these things are expensive, but the reality is for businesses to be successful, it's nice to create easy routes to get in and out that are safe for folks and will ultimately make the whole development better.
I've just had a thought. Are they requiring us to put in a full-time stoplight there, or is the one that is there now for the pedestrians, is that adequate? Do you know?
Yes, sir. Right now, they actually don't want to add additional stoplights through town because there is a specific formula for spacing between stoplights that allows you to get traffic moving through town. And as anybody who has been through town understands, if that spacing is at all off by even 2 or 3 seconds, it's almost mathematically impossible to get people moving through, like the platoon of cars moving through town. There's something like 8 different signal timing scenarios that CDOT has to try to get folks moving through town. So they don't actually want another stoplight there. They would prefer to direct folks to the existing stoplights that are already there so that they can help time them better. So that pedestrian light that's there throws a little bit of a wrench in it because you can never tell when folks are going to want to cross the street. So that's actually an added complication. I agree that for safety of pedestrians, it's a good thing to do, but CDOT would prefer to direct pedestrians to those light locations because they can set the timing for pedestrians to cross, for vehicles to move through town, and have it integrate with the entire system all the way down the path so you can get folks through Woodland Park. Okay.
Thank you. Anybody else have anything? Mark, do you have anything to top it off with? Any questions, Pat? Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. I would say that, look, I guess I'm going to follow your lead and see what you come up with, the Historical Society and the Parks and Rec. And then we'll go from there. And then we'll make another public meeting and have another brainstorm. We have a little bit more information. But I really appreciate everybody's input and thank you, everybody, for coming. If I may, I'll call this meeting adjourned.